Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday. Today we have Abhimanyu Sukhdial with us, and he's currently a seventh grader at Stillwater Middle School. Welcome, Abhi. And for those who haven't heard, Abhi recently became a published author in September 2020, and I cannot stress this enough. It's an amazing accomplishment for your age. His novella, called 3 Days Till EOC, is a sci-fi thriller around talking about climate change. And this book won Stone Soup magazine's International Book Competition, and it's currently on the long list of nominees for the 2021 Green Earth Book Award. And if you want to read the novel, check it out on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and even the online Stone Soup store, my bad. And just to add on one more accomplishment, he's a national winner of the PTA Reflections Arts and Education Competition and the recipient of the Oklahoma Association of Gifted, Creative, and Talented Nicholas Green Award. Well, to get started, Abhi, tell us about your love for writing. How'd the journey start?
Well, I've always loved writing since the beginning. I've always used to play with letters and stuff. And the first time I've really gotten into writing was PTA Reflections. It was a competition for pre-K to 12th graders. There are 6 categories: dance choreography, music, literature, filmmaking, and 2 other ones I can't forget. But it's basically a contest where it starts from city to state to national. And I used to make stories still then, and I discovered Stone Soup later on. It was for 14-year-olds and younger to publish stories and reviews. And I used to do a lot of book reviews and movie reviews. But once the contest rolled around, I thought, I could give it a try because I've always loved writing and making my own stories. So I thought this could be the first time I could actually try to submit my own story and maybe it could get accepted or not.
Awesome. So it looks like your journey into creative writing was through PTA Reflection. So how was that experience like? From what age did you start? From what grade did you start submitting stuff?
Well, I've started I've started submitting stuff since the first grade. I've always submitted stuff to maybe my teachers, my friends. I've
Mhm.
showed stuff to my family. But this contest was the first big thing I submitted. The most of the time I just submitted it to my family and other people I know that are close to me. But yeah, this was the first big contest where I actually could show people my stories.
Cool. So how did you did mention that people get recognized at local, state, and national levels, right? So where did you place? And in what categories even?
Well, I used to do literature
Mhm.
first. I can't remember exactly, but I remember the highest I've gotten is national. But most of the time, I have sometimes gotten state, but then didn't get to national. Sometimes I've gotten city, but then after that, I started doing film. I think it was around 2018 because I saw a guy do a stop motion film. He's one of my friends, and I thought, okay, this would be a great. I can make my own film. So I made my own kind of mystery film, and I've just started really liking making films and writing since then.
That's very cool. And for the audience, Mrs. Sukdayal has actually been involved in the program for 3 years right now. Um, Auntie, would you kind of give any more information about that?
Um, sure. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Yeah, so PTA Reflections, what Abhi was talking about, is a national program. About 300,000 kids participate in every year. It's really quite amazing. It's a huge national program. And Abhi mentioned several arts categories. So kids pre-K through 12th grade can enter in one of 6 different categories: visual arts, photography, literature, film, dance choreography, and music composition. All students who are in schools that have PTAs can participate in this. So your school must be a PTA have a PTA affiliate. So all over Oklahoma, this kicks off typically in the fall every year, and kids usually have from September to, I want to say, November to work on their entries, and then they are judged at the city level. The ones that win at the city go to the state. The state does their own level of judging. We find out those state winners around this time, March, April, and then early May, we find out about national winners. I have been a chair at the Stillwater Public Schools level for 3 years, and I've seen close to 100 to 150 kids every year participate in this. I think it's just they get so excited expressing their own creative talents. People think arts is just drawing, but that's not true. Nowadays with technology, there's just so many ways kids can express themselves. Abhi talked about film. I mean, he just basically learned iMovie for one summer and did a film for 5 minutes and submitted it in and won at the national level. So anybody can do it and anybody can learn how to do it. And so yeah, I'm happy to talk more, later on with any parent who's interested or any kid. But we did workshops here at the community where kids learn how to do, who were interested in art and maybe didn't feel confident enough to be able to do a piece for a competition. We conducted workshops where they could do some painting, some drawing. I invited local filmmakers here in Stillwater to come and teach kids how to make films using their iPad. So different ways to just get professionals connecting with students, real-time hands-on experience, because often, as you know, teachers don't have time in class to do all these things. They're so busy with their day-to-day class syllabus. They don't have time to do reflection stuff. So this was a way for us to have outside expert professionals in the community work with the kids, and then they finish their entries, submitted it, and then they kind of go through the process.
Perfect. Thank you for that information. Now, Abhi, let's take a shift from your experiences with PTA and now into Stone Soup. So how'd you first get introduced to Stone Soup?
Well, I got introduced, I kind of just like found it out of nowhere. I kind of just like tried to find like different magazines to go to. And I went through a lot of websites and I found Stone Soup was one of the oldest and best. So I kind of just looked at it and I kind of just wanted to submit a couple book reviews, but I didn't think that it would become as big as it was today, how much I loved it. I thought it would just be like a regular place to submit like some reviews, but I never thought that I would love it so much.
Makes sense. But why did you choose to enter the competition?
Mainly just because I wanted to, because most of the people were kids my age, so I would be competing against people, who kind of love the same kind of stuff as me and same like language as me. So I wouldn't be competing against like just tons of people. They're different ages. Those competitions are a lot harder and more difficult. So I wanted to do this one because it just seemed like the perfect group for me.
Perfect. If you don't mind, since many of us haven't read the book just yet, could you mention a brief summary of the book?
Okay, well, I'll try to give it without spoilers. Basically, the year is 2100, and water has basically just like destroyed Earth. It's just the Earth is basically just like a dystopian world. There's only 1,000 people left on the Earth, and in 3 days, a big tsunami is just going to strike down, and everybody's going to die, and there's no way for us to escape it. And since there's what everybody's thinking right now is that they could just head to Mars. But one person named Graham Allison is the only one who thinks that maybe we could stop EOC and stop the tsunami somehow. So along with a couple of his friends, he tries trying to head to stop EOC. And that's the best I can give without like spoiling anything.
How is the writing process like? 70 pages is a lot to write.
Yeah, it was really painful. I got through a lot of like rough drafts and yeah, I had a lot of broken pencils. Like it was really difficult to get through. But yeah, it was just so difficult to get through. I had lots of hard things. Like making the rough draft was probably the hardest part. Making the idea. I originally didn't think about climate change, making the idea of climate change. I originally just wanted to make it like just a simple dystopian book. But then I looked at the news and found about climate change, learned about climate change, and thought that'd be a great idea to put it into my story.
So when was it that you actually wrote the book? In the summer of 2020?
No, the summer of 2019.
My bad then. Okay, so probably 3 months?
Yeah, I spent a good 3 months working on it. It was basically like in the whole summer. You had the whole summer to do it, and then you had to turn it in.
Wow. So looking back at the writing process and your experience with this, would you have done anything differently?
Well, I never really looked at it that way. Okay. I do feel like there are some things in the book that I could have improved because I had 3 months to make the book. But I feel that what I tried to convey, I conveyed. So I think that it was my best job I could do.
Good. How did it feel to be done and to submit it?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I could finally just like take a break and relax. It was like it just felt amazing. Like even back then, since I didn't know it was gonna win, I just was just so happy. And then I just kind of forgot about it. And then like a month later, they just came back and told me I won, and I just was just like, oh, what was that?
So how'd you feel when you got the news that the book won then?
Yeah, I mean it was quite crazy. I was like, I didn't expect to win. The publishing took a couple of months, but I was just really happy that I won. And now looking back at it, I'm really proud of everyone that got to see it.
It's very
See,
good. But how about if you hadn't won?
no, even if I didn't win, I still think it would have been a good like story. Like even if I didn't win at all or didn't get it published, I still feel like I did my best work. For me, it just matters that did I convey a good story or not.
Effort would still be worthwhile, of course.
Yeah.
And on that topic, have you ever experienced failure in general? Like you've been writing since first grade, I've heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've yeah experienced like lots of different failures, not just like in writing, but just like life in general. You know, I've been through multiple different competitions, you know, writing, filmmaking, sports, and yeah, failed a lot, but like I just choose to ignore and try to keep going back up and learn something from it.
So what did you learn in that process?
Well, it's for like talking about like besides writing, I used to do this thing called running club. We basically just had to like go run around the whole like block. And I used to have back a couple years late before it was over and I couldn't do it anymore. I used to
Mhm.
have like a couple other kids who just came moved and they were just really way better than me. But even though I didn't win that time, we just became friends with each other and we used to like learn from each other. So I learned how to, you know, become a better runner. So I think that even though I didn't win that time, I still got some more experience and that was the most important part for me.
Very good. Um, we wish you the best of luck to your path to even more work. Are you kind of working on anything else right now?
Well, right now I'm trying to work on a fantasy book, but a fantasy book is a lot harder than a sci-fi book so I'm still trying to create the world because everything has to make sense. So even though it's a lot harder than than like a sci-fi book, yeah, that's what I'm working on because I'm always a huge fan of different fantasy books like Harry Potter and such.
It's very cool. Do you I was actually talking to your mom about this a while back, but she did mention that you were writing book reviews and even making a blog about it.
Oh yeah, I had the idea one day that maybe I could like make like a website where we could put where people could post like different reviews. So I use this different website that allows you to create reviews. It's called WordPress. And so I'm trying to fix up my blog and I'm trying to make people so that I can submit reviews, but also other people can submit different reviews of, you know, like books, movies, video games, other things like that.
That's very cool. Is there anything about book reviews that makes it like a lot more intriguing than any other form of art?
Well, books are a lot like harder to cover than something like movies because it's because you know movies you could just see it on screen.
Mhm.
So yeah, you have to be a lot more you have to go a lot more in depth for books.
I assume you're a reader, a really big one. What type of books do you like to read?
Well, I usually like to read if I'm like want to read for something complicated, I like to read like something like a good fantasy book. But sometimes if I'm just bored and just want to read something for fun, I usually read like some realistic book that could be like a book about like a middle schooler or a high schooler. And those are generally also really good. It all depends on what kind of mood I'm in for what kind of book.
Yeah, it's really hard finding the correct book. I've had
Yeah,
that problem too.
yeah. I've read lots of good books. I've read lots
Yeah.
of bad books.
But let's shift gears for a minute now. Do you participate in any other extracurricular activities?
Right here in school, I used to do like running club and stuff, but now I'm not doing a lot of like in school activities. I'm doing a lot of after school activities and such. Like I'm doing like karate and there's this website called Outschool. It's basically a place where teacher experts in like writing and filmmaking and other things I do, they can help teach other kids, not just me, to do certain things. So been doing a lot of that and I've been doing a lot of things like karate and such.
Okay, do you
And
play any instruments?
Yeah, I play violin and piano.
Oh, that's really cool. Did you ever compose a piece for PTA Reflections?
Yeah, well, not yet, but that's something I really wish to do. Like I always thought like it would be super easy. You could just make the notes, but it's a lot harder than that. I always thought that but because for like music stuff, you have to write the whole key signature and you have to write like it's a whole music like nightmare.
Aside from whatever you're doing now, do you have plans to do anything new? Like, have you seen other fields or other things, like maybe even dance? Would you ever consider that?
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I just have to, yeah, since I've never done something like dance, I'd have to figure out how to start.
Makes sense. So how do you balance school and everything that you're doing?
Well, right now, because of COVID, I've been doing most just distance learning. I haven't been doing like any like real school with math. So I've just been doing distance learning. So I've been usually just trying to get the distance learning done as fast as I can, and then spending and doing other things in my free time. And even before COVID, I used to just get school over with and then just spend the most of the day just trying to do certain things. Sometimes I had like to go to like karate and other such things like that, or sometimes my brother would have to go. He plays drums, so sometimes my brother would have to go and do drums. So, but most of the time I would do something different till then, like maybe write or just do something while my brother was playing drums. So usually, even when I'm having to wait, I just try to do something to pass the time.
So how do you relax and kick back?
Well, there's a lot of ways I relax and kick back, but even still, like for me, relaxing, kickbacking isn't just like, doing something just doing something like eating popcorn or playing some game. I like, for me, relaxing and kicking back just means doing something I like. I love making just like little like video reviews and written reviews. I've always loved making reviews like for anything, and I've always just started getting into making like video reviews, sort of kind of like say YouTube reviews. And I've been really interested in that. That's like something I've been working on now. So even though it's really difficult, a lot harder than it seems, I still like that's one of the things I'm doing right now. I just love making kind of video reviews.
Okay. What do you want to be in the future?
Um, well, I know this is gonna sound kind of weird, but I want to be kind of a professor. I love teaching to other students, and even though I still love writing, I still want to do that. But I also want to be a professor as well because I love teaching. I like teaching about stuff like criticism and how to do other things like that. And yeah, even though like right now I haven't fully decided what kind of like genre I'm going to be as a professor, like am I going to teach like, I don't know, my dad does marketing. So I don't know what kind of genre I'm going to do, but I've always wanted to be a professor.
Okay. So where did your love for teaching start? Have you ever taught anything to anyone else, right, as of now?
Yeah, well, it all started mainly just because my dad, he does it a lot. I've been into some of his classes, and even though it looks really really hard, I like public speaking though. That's just like something I really like doing. So I've always like I so yeah, my dad is probably one of the biggest reasons why I've done it.
Very cool. What advice do you have for aspiring writers?
Well, my advice is mostly to just like always like just make your whenever you're making your rough draft, just make it. Like there's just like you don't have to make it like my one of my problems is I always like just getting it done right away. Like I could just thinking I can make the story done in like 50 minutes, but like that's never going to happen. So I always just like try making the like just make whenever you make the rough draft, it doesn't matter, worry about like some edits or like things that don't make any sense, or just like write and then go and fix those things back later, and sometimes take like a couple breaks in between. Because if you just continuously write, you're going to lose the motivation and you're just going to feel like you don't want to do it anymore.
Interesting. How about for people who are kind of not confident in their work just yet? Or what would you give for what would you give to help people kind of push themselves and submit their pieces to competitions like this?
Well, I would tell them like again like whenever they get I always like having a good teacher or somebody that can help me out. That's why I've been doing a lot of out school stuff. I've always like just have like having someone who can help. For me, that was like kind of mostly my family and stuff, because if you do everything all alone, and you don't get any teaching from anybody, yeah, you're pretty soon going to lose the motivation. And sometimes, like I said, yeah, writing, how much you write affects like how confident you are. Because if you just continuously write, you're not going to feel confident. And if you spend too much time looking at the little details, again, like sometimes you just don't want to feel like you write the book. I felt that multiple times whenever I just like was writing my book. I just felt like sometimes I just didn't want to write it anymore.
And Auntie, as a parent of an accomplished writer, what advice do you have to other parents?
I think each child has something that gets him or her excited. For Abhi, it has always been words. For my other son, it's math. For somebody other kid, it's music. Whatever it is, I think as a parent, just trying to find ways, outlets, avenues that the child can express themselves through. So finding reflections, finding Stone Soup, finding whatever you can in the community to kind of nurture the child along, encourage them. Don't worry about failure, but I always feel like just put yourself out there. And if it doesn't get accepted, art is such a subjective thing. I mean, again, I am not a math or a scientist, so I can't speak from that perspective, but I know from an art perspective, because I delved into arts when I was growing up in this country. I did choir and I did other things, and art is so subjective. One person's masterpiece is another person's, something else. So a child should never be afraid of just putting their stuff out there, and just as a parent finding ways for the kids to express their creativity. Could be contests, could be magazines. I mean, nowadays there's just so much stuff out there. And one of the great resources I found is the New York Times has something called a learning network, where they give you a list of all the contests in writing and art contests that are out there by age group. So I looked at that very early on when I saw Abhi was interested in writing, and said, okay, what are a handful of things that we can work on as kind of goals? And we always work with deadlines. I mean, my God, if I didn't have a deadline, I wouldn't get anything done. So I think kids sometimes also need deadlines. You say, hey, you got something on the calendar, it's due in like 2 months. What do you think you'd want to do? You want to do something? You want to give it a shot? Write a poem, write a story, take a shot at it. And then, he would do his stuff, and then I'd kind of proofread it, give him feedback. This is not clear. Can you do this? Can you explain that to me? And then you take another shot. And that's the process. That's how the kids learn. Sometimes the teachers do that. Sometimes as parents, we do that. But I think just to encourage them and just to explore and let them fail and let them pick themselves up and try again.
Abhi, did you ever have any impactful inspirations in your life that it kind of impacted you to write this book, or maybe include in this book?
Well, I can't really think of any like off the top of my head, but like I do remember like having lots of for impactful inspirations, it's mostly like just like going on. I always love like going onto the news and just seeing stuff. And while some of the things are bad, like I never like hearing of anything bad going on in the news. The news and what's been going on in the world, that's just something like really big and important that's helped me to understand climate change. Because again, like climate change wasn't originally the thing I wanted to do. So I thought, it'd be better to talk about the real world instead of just making like some fictional dystopian story.
What was it on the news? Like, what was the specific example of the climate change that left an impression on you?
Sometimes I heard that in Antarctica was melting, and that was one of the big things, the glaciers was melting. I've heard of some of these. Well, I haven't read a lot yet, but I've always heard of some of these like books, these fictional books about the earth, and kind of like similar to mine, how the earth is just swarmed by like water, and like it's kind of so there. Even though I haven't read a lot of books like that, and there was sort of also a big inspiration. Like I always like titles are always a big thing for me, and covers. So I just saw lots of cool covers and stuff. I always like just looking at covers and titles. They're always just some are really important to my writing and the inspiration. So yeah, I always looked at like different covers and titles, and always looked at I always heard there's a person who her name, she's like I think like a couple years older than me. Her name is Greta Thunberg. She's like one of the leading climate change activists. And I've never read any of her books. She just wrote a book, but I've never read any of her books. But like all the work and all the speeches she has given, that was also a very big inspiration for me.
Did you ever feel like there were parallels with any characters in the book and your own life?
Well, I wouldn't say it's there was like Graham, like my character was similar to something in real life. Mostly I just try to come up with like characters off the top of my head, and I try to like give them some depth. So because most people in real life, like I try to make it interesting. So like Graham wasn't like related to anybody in real life. Like I could say like he's a very kind person, so I could say he is related to like my brother and such. But like there wasn't like any specific person I looked at and I thought that, oh yeah, Graham is, yeah, that could be my inspiration for my character.
Did you ever feel like a personal connection as you were writing the book with the characters, growing with them, or maybe feeling really connected with them?
Yeah, that's something, yeah, very important for me. Like, yeah, like sometimes for like characters, what I do for characters is like I don't try to give them like before writing, I don't try to give them like a whole backstory and understand who they are. I kind of just like try to create the story, and as I'm creating the story, I understand who the characters are, and in the end, when I'm looking back at it, then I try to understand who the characters are, are they like kind, are they like are selfish, like who they are as a person. So I don't like try to like come up with the character idea like beforehand.
What made you not include superheroes or any sort of powers to these characters, but rather make them vulnerable and just an everyday human like us?
Well, because I feel that's not as powerful, because if he was a superhero, because I've always seen all these really cool movies and shows with superheroes and zombies, and while they are fun, the message they try to convey, if they try to ever convey one, it's not as powerful, because I know that none of the things happening are real. So I didn't try to make him like a superhero. I tried to make him like vulnerable, because those characters are just a lot more interesting as a person than just like a superhero.
Well, that really told me, at least, everything that I wanted to hear. Does anyone in the audience have any questions?
So Abhi, when you
Miss,
wrote that, yeah, I have a question. So when you wrote that book, did you have a mentor, someone guiding, helping with that? The first book you wrote?
Well, I was in India at the time, because I always go to India every year. I couldn't go now because of COVID, but I always went to India every year. So I got a lot of help from my family, and I've always realized it's okay to get help for your book, because it's not like bad or anything if you've gotten help from your parents or something for your book. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I got a lot of help from my
Yeah.
mom, dad, other people.
Good. So any favorite writers? I know you like Greta Thunberg's books. Any other writers or writings you like?
Well,
Currently?
for like favorite writers, there are like the big like popular fantasy ones, J.K. Rowling and J.R.R. Tolkien. But I also like I said, I like realistic high school or middle school books. So Gordon Corman is a really, really good one. He's just really, really fun and enjoyable. Most of his books are just like really funny. He's like probably the best one. He's my favorite one.
No, thank you.
How many drafts did you write?
Well, I think I had to go through like 3 or 4 like big drafts. I had to edit them all. So because after I made the first draft, I tried going back and really making sure that everything was good. So I could have just, like slowly but sure, like slowly made the drafts. I could have made like 10 or 15 drafts, but I tried making sure that after the first draft, I tried to make sure that everything was good. So yeah, I think about 4 to 5 drafts.
Did the editor make you change even more?
Yeah, I had like, yeah, like this story, the messages, like even like the stuff I tried to convey, yeah, like it never existed beforehand. So yeah, like before, for my first draft, it was a lot different from my final draft, because in my final draft, then I actually like knew what I was going to try to say, because the first draft was just like a big mess.
What do you want the kids of IAOK to take away from this book? A kind of, in a nutshell, what's the moral lesson you want them to learn?
Well, I want them to. Well, I want them to learn that. I mean, you can write basically whatever book you want. You don't have to like be afraid to like say anything you want. All you got to do is just like all you got to do is just have an idea, and if you like the idea, you can just you'll understand what it is. And writing is like a process. Like it's like an experience. You know, once you like fully get into writing, you'll like slowly like get interested in the story and the characters, and like pretty soon it gets addicting. Some points, once if you like your book so much, you just don't want to stop writing it. So yeah, once if you're yeah, as long as you are intrigued and motivated, which yeah, motivate, you'll always sometimes feel that you know you can't do it, because I felt a lot of times that this was just too hard. But I feel that you should just continue like writing. And again, it's not okay to it's not I mean it's okay to get help from other people. Yeah.
Anyone else?
What? Sorry, you cut out. Sorry, what did you say?
I don't know, I was just wondering if any of the other audience members had a question. I could go on and on about this. I want to give you guys a chance to. Well, I actually do have one more question. How have your peers supported you?
Well, they've supported like they've just supported me into like writing the whole thing. Like I've sometimes like they've really helped me out whenever I just feel really like just really sick of just making the story. Like I've said, they've really helped me out in like getting motivation. They really helped me out in terms of that. They helped me out in terms of the story, and they helped me out in terms of like figuring out what's going on. Again, sometimes I just really didn't want to make the story. But deadlines are like probably the most important thing. Like if this didn't have a deadline, then yeah, I probably wouldn't have made it in the span of the time I did.
Congratulations, Abhi, and I wish you all the best in the future. Do you have a favorite movie?
Oh, ooh, that's a hard one. But yeah, that's a hard one. Like I see a lot of different movies. Like some of them are just like plain fun, like Disney movies. And sometimes I just like see like more serious movies. I'm a big fan of westerns. So there's a western I see. I think the name was like the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's like my favorite movie of all time, because even though it's not like it doesn't have like important big themes or anything. It's not trying to teach something anything. It's just so like cool and just so fun, and it's like yeah, it's like really enjoyable to watch. That's like my favorite. That's probably my favorite movie of all time.
Okay.
What do you think about Indian movies?
Oh yeah, I do like Indian movies. Like again, sometimes some of them are like just for fun. Some of them are like really enjoyable. Yeah, they're really good. But yeah, they're very underrated.
Lot of drama.
Yeah. Sometimes like Indian movie. Yeah, I know. I see sometimes a lot of Indian movies are just super like just enjoyable to watch.
What was the most recent movie that you watched? That was Indian.
Recent movie I watched. Oh, I forgot the name of it. Like it was like a really, really long name, but I remember seeing a movie. I think it was kind of similar to Fast and Furious, like kind of similar, the whole car thing and whatever. I think it was called something like that.
Probably Doom. I don't know. Doom 2, Doom 3.
The Indian movie, yeah, that was kind of what I recently saw, but I forgot it. I forgot the name because I just recently saw a lot of different movies.
Yeah.
Umi is a short name, so he said like it's a big name, long name.
But there was also a car race or something, right? Doom or something. I forgot the name.
Yeah, saying yeah, but I think that's might be what it's called.
How about your little brother? Has he started submitting anything to PTA or wanting to publish a book soon too?
Yeah, man. Yeah, but like he's more of a fan of like visual arts and stuff. Like he does love writing, but like he's more of a fan of like making like art projects and stuff. That's what he's a big fan of. He does drums. So yeah, I'm pretty sure one day he'll want to like make a story like I do. But so far, like he hasn't like actually done it. But I'm pretty sure one day he's going to want to, because so far he's just a big fan of art.
Have you ever thought how you want to be the best brother for him, or what type of role model you want to be?
Yeah, I want to like maybe like well, in terms of role model, I just want to like teach him and be nice to him whenever, whenever he's down or something. But at the same time, like I don't like we debate like a lot about everything. So because like we're like very different from each other in terms of like any kind of entertainment. We just have completely different opinions. So that's like one of my favorite parts. I just like just talking to him.
Yes.
Anybody else wanted to ask? They can unmute and then they can ask as well.
Abhi, I have a question. So you said you're interested in debates and public speak and all that. So
Yeah.
are you planning to get into public service too in the future?
Wait, can you say that again? Sorry.
Are you planning to get into public service of any kind, entering into some leadership roles in public arena?
Oh yeah, that's something I really want to do. Like maybe like get into the role of public speaking. Maybe like enter some like competitions or like different like classes about that. Yeah, that's something I've been really wanting to do. Like I've been trying to search and find the best ones.
Okay.
Because I'm trying, because I used to do that in when I had real school. I used to we used to have a lot of like different debate classes sometimes. And yeah, I've been trying to search for a good one like that, but distance learning has been really, really, really hard.
What's your favorite topic to debate on?
I mean, it could be anything really. Like there's nothing that like really bad. I mean, I even like debating about stuff I don't really talk about. Like I don't really care if it's like something like a book or if it's like something about like architecture. And as long I like debating about everything.
Is there a topic that you're really passionate about?
Well, then it would be like movies and video. Like my brother's a big fan of video games, so that's like something he really like talks about. So yeah, me and him talk about that all the time.
What kind of games do you play?
Again, I like to do anyone I can. Like sometimes I just do like I like do a lot of different like puzzle games. I also, again, if I want to do something fun, I can do like maybe like a Mario game or something. If you don't, yeah, that's like a platformer game, where you jump onto certain areas. And so yeah, like sometimes I like to do that. Or sometimes like my friends are a big fan of shooters, so sometimes they just like playing that, and sometimes I just play that.
About Minecraft?
Minecraft.
Yeah, so that's the big one. That's the big one.
My son is into that, and right now he's streaming.
My friend is obsessed with that. So like I play that like more than I can count.
Thank you.
I'm curious on the new book that you say you're writing. Are you is a fantasy book for Stone Soup as well, or are you trying to kind of venture out to be an independent author?
Well, this one I'm not specifically like pushing it towards Stone Soup. I'm mostly just like making it my own separate book, and maybe down the line I'll like once I finish it, I can like maybe submit it to a contest or something, like some different contest or something, because I've already done the Stone Soup contest, and if I submit another one again, I think that's kind of just ruining the point of everyone. I've already done it, so I want other people on Stone Soup to give it a try. So yeah, I'm leaning. Yeah, I'm so far I'm not really decided the kind of contest I'm leaning towards for the book, but I'm still planning to make it.
There are a variety of sci-fi, book competitions at the national level, at the international level. Some of them are short stories. Some of them, they have very specific requirements of longer novellas. So there's also another great program called the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. I don't know if you might be familiar with that. That's definitely for like 13 and up. So Abhi's now, since he'll be 13 this month, kind of moving to that level. And there, the variety is even a lot more, especially in writing. I think they have like 10 different categories within writing. Everything from like critical essay, which is what a review would be, to short story, to poem, to personal narrative, the idea of you take a piece of your life and you kind of write a fictionalized version of it. So there's so much stuff just within writing there. So, and there's a category for a science fiction story. So, you know, one thought I had was he had done like a draft a long time ago before this EOC book, you know, maybe this summer, kind of resurrecting it again and revisiting it and saying, okay, what shall we do with it? And there's usually the role that my husband and I play with him. It's kind of like, okay, you did this once, you haven't touched it for a long time. What are you trying to say with this? Where are we trying to go? What was the message? What are you trying to say about the characters? What's missing? What's not missing? That's kind of the discussion we'd have with them. And then sometimes like, no, I don't like it. I don't want to go anywhere with it. Or the other times it's like, okay, sit with it for a couple of days, come back, or sit with it for a week and come back. And so that's kind of how the creative process is all the time. You just sort of have to, you know, talk about it with your kids, let it fester, and then they come back or they don't come back. And then you just try different ways of continuing.
So any more questions, anyone?
Abhi, how was the reception to your book internationally?
Well, internationally, yeah, a lot of people liked it. I've even seen like some strangers who've talked to my mom. They've said they liked it. So yeah, even if somebody like didn't like it, I would love to hear the feedback for how I could have been better.
Great.
So far, he's been primarily doing local interviews, so local Stillwater TV, news press. But we are signed up to talk to KOSU tomorrow. So I'm hoping that, you know, NPR, KOSU is going to do a radio segment around Earth Day. And then I think the Green Earth Book Award, if all goes well and it actually comes to the final level, I think that would give more exposure. So the Stone Soup is a very small team. They're just like an independent press. It's not a Simon & Schuster or Random House or some big publishing giant.
Right.
So basically it's a lot of grassroots efforts, just, you know, promoting the book. That's where I think you guys are wonderful in being able to do this, just to pass the word along and just to encourage young people to write, because I think there's a lot of stories that aren't told and that young people have in their heads. And if we could just encourage them to express themselves, I think it'd be great.
How do you get the reviews? Like through email, or what is the channel like? Or
I'm sorry, how do we get? Are you asking
the reviews from the readers?
So okay. So for example, for Amazon, right? They post the reviews on Amazon. Other times, because I know the Stone Soup community, people who are families who belong to Stone Soup may have bought the book through other avenues besides Amazon, and they have contacted me. The other thing the Stone Soup has done is they've handed the book out to a number of real authors. So there's a fellow called Adam Rex. He's a very well-known children's book author, is a New York Times bestselling author. He wrote a very wonderful, gracious review of Abhi's book that got posted onto Stone Soup. Zilla Bethel, she's written a book called The Extraordinary Colors of Autumn Dare. She's a best-selling children's author. She reviewed Abhi's book. So basically using real authors and their feedback, and then, real readers, like normal within the population, trying to all this, try to collate this. I think combination of me personally, because Abhi's still a minor, and then Stone Soup getting whatever reviews they can through their contacts. We've been trying to get the word out.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
So just curious, how many interviews did you give, Abhi, so far?
Do you remember, Abhi?
Oh, wow. That must be a lot then.
Probably no.
Yeah. So we feel special at IAOK. It's a privilege to have you here today.
Thank you. It's very nice of you.
It's a proud moment for us too, because he belongs to our community, and then we can tell that like this is our kid, like belongs to us.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
that is a awesome thing to have. And yeah,
Great interview by Shreya.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I think
that.
Shreya did a lot of background work talking to Anu and Abhi, right? So yeah, that's all
This is
shows.
my first time meeting Abhi though, but I am really thankful of the opportunity to finally meet him.
And special thank to all the listener or who joined the Zoom. Actually, that matters a lot. And if we get more, viewers, it matters a lot to us to present also. We can do more and more kind of interviews, or we can, and we have in talk with Subhash Kak, sir.
Yes.
So he's gonna, we are planning to have a next session with him after April 12th. So maybe we will post that. So do, look at that, like our page, or we will be sending out the emails. So he agreed to, come and
Wonderful.
chat.
Yeah, I think what you're doing is great. And I think there's, especially reaching, families and young people. I think this is a great venue to do that. And there's so much more,
Yeah, especially when we are doing virtual, life is totally changed. So we cannot do the, actual event right now. So virtually, if we can do a good program, that matters a lot, actually.
And I think, Anu, you can be a great resource for all the parents like us, I think, like you're interested, right? If you have time and
I'm happy to help however I can,
because a lot of other parents will be interested in nurturing their kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Shreya had asked me a question like about doing workshops and stuff like that. I think, it's great. I mean, like Stone Soup, this magazine, that's what they do. They do these virtual writing workshops, and like 30, 40 kids show up on a Saturday morning over Zoom because they love writing from like England and, India and all over the place, because they all, because it gives them a platform that is truly theirs. It's not anybody else's. They get to write their own stories, express what they want, and not be judged. And so that's virtual, and they're doing it. Here, we know the community. People are interested. We can definitely organize something like that.
We are open. Right. We are open to any kid or any elder, to anybody who are interested, and if they have achieved anything. So we are open to have the interview like this, or kind of sessions we can arrange virtually. Yeah, always anybody can contact us, and then we can have kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
For us
I have a question for Abhi.
IAOK, this is the first of a kind session. So it's really nice. I mean, probably this one will trigger a spark among other talented young members.
Absolutely. Yes.
So any other kids, if you know of any special writing or any other skills, bring them on, and then they can share with the rest of our community. It's really nice opportunity for us. Nice platform.
Yeah, somebody was asking some question, actually. So.
Shreya,
that was me.
That's
Ari.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're like gonna continue your book as like a series or something.
Question.
Oh yeah, that's been in my mind for like ever since I started the idea. I've always thought, how can I make it into a series? So like right now I'm not making like a chapter 2 or anything, but if but I'm always like thinking like, but I still right now I don't know how I'm going to make a sequel to that book, because originally it wasn't planned to make a sequel. Originally I thought that like I would do like a to be continued version of it, like the end of that book, but the competition didn't allow to do a to be continued. You had to like your entire book. You couldn't just like end it off with like just a to be continued and just make it part 2.
Okay.
So yeah.
This is your brother's photograph or yours?
That's him.
That's him?
That's how he looked when he was 12? 11. That's how he looked when he was 11. Now he's gonna be 13 on Tuesday. So you can see the difference.
The good reason why I wore the red shirt.
That's good.
Yeah, it's completely different, huh?
So happy birthday in advance. It's going to be next Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
The 6th. Yeah, coming up.
6th, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. You write lots of, books, or do lots of reviews. We will enjoy that, and we will surely have, another session in coming days, hopefully. Yeah.
I'm planning to launch the website I'm making on my birthday, but like, I don't know if I can do that, but like, that's what I'm hoping for. Like, maybe I can finish the website by my birthday.
So do you have any vlogging site or somewhere somebody can join you, or kind of, if you write something, or have you, are you planning to do something like that?
Like a website or something?
Or yeah, maybe, where somebody can follow you, or.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I was going to make like a website. There's like a software that allows you to make like your own website, and I'm planning to make like a place where other people and me could like review books.
That's good.
Other stuff.
Yeah, right now, like all parents, we just worry about like the whole social media and like getting too much out there. So we said, make it a site. He's like 80% done. He's written like 20 reviews for it. He's already posted it. But it's like, here on this computer, and he's doing it every night. He learned Camtasia, which is basically the application he's using to do that. And so we thought maybe first we launch it with friends and family, get some feedback, make it better. And then, at some point we try to launch it more broad scale. But like all parents, we're just a little worried about getting too much out there, posting stuff on YouTube and following and this and that. We don't want to get too much into all of that and lose control. And so, anyway, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So are you guys okay if we post this interview on the YouTube? Like we usually.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. I meant in like the separate site that he's working on. Yes, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, we have to have permission from parents.
Yeah,
that's why.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and Stone Soup did that too. They did an intern that worked for them. She's a 14-year-old intern. She interviewed Abhi, and they did like a 20-minute interview, and that got posted onto YouTube. So, and that's I pointed that to Shreya. So yeah, it's fine.
Nice.
So anybody else has any questions? Like a lot of silent people there. Shivani, do you have anything?
I would love if people would show their face, because we
right.
It's a virtual session, and then we wanted to see everybody's face too. Yeah, especially when question, Q&A session is going on, so we can see them. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, but yeah, I think you wanna say something, Abhi, before we close,
Well, I just want to say that for anybody who's just planning to write, I just want to say, like, go for it. Like, normally I'm supposed to have like some like end outro I'm supposed to say, but like I can't think of any. I just want like for anybody who's like interested in writing to just like go for it. You don't have to like worry about like if it's like not going to make any sense at all. You can fix all that later.
Good. Thank you. And Anu, you want to add something?
Just thank you very much for this opportunity. I think it's just wonderful. For the more he does this, the more, I think it's good for him. It's a good experience. And I really appreciate Shreya taking the time to do the background and to come up with some really great questions, and all of you for just supporting him and to be so active in our community and encouraging in the next generation of children. So really thanks to all of you for organizing this and for making this happen. Thank you very much from Ajay and myself and Abhi.
Thank you. Shreya, you want to say anything, Shreya?
Nothing more than thank you once again for letting me meet them, and then obviously this is the first time that I've also conducted an interview or anything of this sort as well. So it's a good experience for me. And you have definitely motivated me to write more as well.
Yeah, great.